Everybody say howdy. Welcome. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. This session is titled Singing Call Adaptation. And this is the CALLERLAB Convention in Niagara Falls, New York on Monday, March 29, 2010. And we welcome all of you here.
Don't copy something. Take something, come up with something original that fits you, that you're comfortable with, and put your showmanship into it. See what else I got over here listed underneath here.
She started dancing in 1979 and began calling in 1982, and she's been trying ever since. And this session is being recorded, and so anybody that speaks, we have to get you on a microphone, so please keep that in mind, and we may need a volunteer for a runner for the microphone. But Deborah's done a lot of calling. She's very popular as a caller, and I think one of the best callers that we've ever had, and by far the best voice that we've ever had in square dancing. And she's been able to travel quite a bit around the country. And
you do that once during the season, and you're done with it. Even though they'll come up and record.
Australia, Belgium, we've been all over Europe and England and Sweden and Norway and various other places. So would you please welcome Deborah Carroll-Jones. And Wade Driver is our other panelist, and he began in 1957 learning to dance from his father, Doc, in Atlanta, Georgia, and he's been involved in the activity ever since. And I'll tell you something that some of you may not know. Doc wouldn't let him call out in public for 2 years. He wanted to make sure that when he made his first appearance in public that he was already good and not just learning. And so he asked him to do that, and Wade complied. And the first time I met Wade and remember knowing him was at the National Convention in San Antonio, Texas in 1974, and I was emceeing one of the sessions, and I introduced Wade as a caller. And then after he finished calling, my comment was, if you can call that good, we hope you just stay over in Georgia and don't come over here to Texas. Well, that didn't work. Shortly after he was in San Antonio, he moved to Houston, and he's been in and out of Houston ever since, except for the stint that he had in Mesa, Arizona for several years calling out there. So would you please welcome Wade Driver? And, of course, Deborah has recorded numerous records, and Wade owns Rhythm Records, and all of you should be familiar with that. I told both Deborah and Wade that I was going to introduce or tell y'all something before we got started with this, but this is just something that I put together, food for thought, and it's called a singing call breakdown. There are 448 beats of music in a normal 64-beat segment singing call, 64 times 7. There's 112 beats, or 25%, are used for a promenade. There's 42 beats, or 9%, are used with swing. 48 beats, or 10.7%, are taken up with circle left. If square through 4 is used to start every figure, takes 40 beats, or 8.9% will be used. 24 beats, or 5.4%, are used for weave the ring. This is a total of 200.
Digest, or you see something that happens on the television, you see a little piece of stick, write it down and stick it in this file. You can use it now. You might
music for a figure or module calling. 59% of the music is used by callers to show up.
Go into that file, and you can put that down and use them.
So that's just food for information for you. I sat down one day and decided I would do that because there's not a whole lot of time left in a singing call to do a lot of module calling or module workup. So keep that in mind as you go. You can't make it so dadgum difficult that the dancers can't dance what you're trying to put forth. But Wade is going to start out with us. Wade's paper says, pursuant to what John has said in his handout, he's going to build on that idea. Well, we decided to switch the two. He's going to start, and then I'm going to build on what he does. And then Deborah is going to finish us up. I have no idea how to operate that remote mic.
Oh yeah, he's just slow delay.
Oh,
well, actually, you
it
gave me ammunition for my gun here.
Pardon me?
You did give me ammunition for my gun.
Okay.
As it turns out. Now, I'll tell you a funny thing. Now, this was my very first singing call was on December 19th, 1957, because I was home on vacation from college, and my dad got up and he called a dance, and he did and the night before I'd learned to dance. I jumped in the square with my mom, and when I left, I knew what was it? There was 18 figures, I think, because he hadn't come out with 25 basics yet. So however many there was, learned them all that first night. So the next night, he got up, and on the first time he did a sing call with the big 78s, and he was using his old Newcomb 40. That's before they had the 56 even. It was a long time ago. Anyway, so he sat down, and I said, I can do that. He said, no, you can't. I said, yeah, I can. No, you can't. Yes, I can. Never argue with a teenager. He'll always win. And he said, well, just show me. So I got up and I got old Fingy Jones as I feel that old age creeping on. And I got that cue sheet and I read that cue sheet and I called a sing call. I got done and my dad says, you can't do that. I said, do what? He said, you're supposed to call that. You can't just sing that. You're supposed to call it. I said, what do you call that thing? He says, a sing call. I said, that's what I did. I sang it. Now, unfortunately, we still have many around the country that still thinks you got to call a singing call.
In a school, you're dealing with kids.
And I know this lady here disagrees with that, Otherwise, just do 2 hash calls and go home, all right? Now, 59% of the music used by callers is to show off their voices with the lyrics of the song, and it just amazes me why we don't utilize that. I love it. They're up there singing, for example, pick a song, any old song. How about Amarillo by Morning? The melody, da-da-da-da-da-da, but you head square through four to get me four and do-si-do with the corner girl, Amarillo by Morning. This just doesn't compute. It doesn't sound good. And so the handouts you have there, how many guys need music to be sing Happy Birthday? Everybody know Happy Birthday? Ready? Go. Happy Birthday.
More so than having the records or the 8 tracks or whatever they might have at the schools. I don't do too many singing calls with them throughout the school, but throughout the time that I'm there. But at the latter part or the last day is the day that I'll have them come up, and I'll stand beside them, and they'll call, and I might get some of the people that doing Jimmy Buffett.
You can adapt that to the syllables of the melody. It's just words, all right. But it's amazing. Everybody says I must say head two, couple square through, 4 hands. No, you don't. If you say head square through, they will get the message. I promise you, okay? And so this is the reason I put this thing in here. Like, happy birthday to you. Now, you and I both know we never go make a square dance happy birthday. But just think about it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Head square through. Go 4 hands around the floor. It's not that tough. This is not rocket science, all right? Happy birthday, dear Charlie. Happy birthday to you. You'll do a do-side-do with, do-side-do the corner. Make an ocean wave there. That's dumb, granted, all right? But this is the whole idea. I am so tired of people getting a song, and because they haven't taken the time or trouble or effort to learn the melody, they say, nah, no problem. I'm just going to call hash to it. Boring, all right? And if you want to entertain your dancers, sing the song. Are you going to sing it as well as the original pop artist? If you are, I want to hire you, right? But probably not. But if you can convey that feeling, then you win. And the only way you can convey the feeling is to make the lyrics match the melody. Now, what's this got to do with singing call adaptation? Easy. Say, for example, you got a sing call, and the sing call's got a swing through, spin the top, and right and left through. You're calling for a basic part A. All right, that's not going to work. Or even just a mainstream basic part A and B. All right, that does not include anything past Ferris wheel. All right, so you can't do spin the top. It doesn't fit. She said, well, then. Amazing. It's amazing to me how many people say, well, I can't do that singing call because my dancers can't do that figure. That's the whole idea of singing call adaptation as I understand it. All right, is to fit it to what you want to do. Now, whether you call them basic or mainstream or plus or A1 or A2 or C1, doesn't matter. All right, but you got to understand where the figure starts, how to do it, and where it ends. how long it's going to take to do it, which is the timing chart, then make it match. All right. For example, any old song, I don't really care. Give me a song. Give me a title. I don't care. What? All right. And well, this is an old Jerry Lee Lewis tune that Pat Barber recorded in 1976. I don't think it was, and it was the no, I did. Yeah, Pat, he did it. Yeah, and it's the music, the melody is da 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 dum da 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 da. That's the melody. Now, if you don't know, and I haven't called this, and God, my hair was black, and I had a lot more of it last time I called this thing, you know. But if you don't know the melody of your song that well, why are you putting it on your turntable? All right. If you can't sing it a cappella, why do you put it on your turntable? You're cheating the dancers, all right? And you're cheating yourself because you miss an awful lot of fun. Now, the melody, going to the circle after this, well, it's another wasted morning, and I'm holding up the wall. Left Allemande, do side, do now. Left Allemande, and weave the ring. Same melody, all right? Get that honky-tonk feeling, do side, do promenade. If I can't find it in your arms, babe, I'm going to find it where I can. That's the melody, all right? Now, the figure. Head couple square through to get 4 now. Round that corner, do side, do. Swing through, boys, you run now. Tag the line and face to the right in a wheeling deal. I did not write that figure, and I would not use that figure on there. I can't believe you did that, Pat. You will not get home. Anyway, so to me, I mean, some people like words better than that. But see, if you let it, the melody will tell you what to write, all right? Now, let's just come up with some other than, what do you say, Amarillo by morning. You got a couple. I use a head square through 4 and a right-hand star, or heads promenade half and square through 4. I don't really care, but like da-da-da-da-da-da, either go head you square through to 4 now, or head you promenade halfway, still fits. But then you follow through and you make it match. Head you promenade halfway, walk in square through to 4, all the way and you swing through. Boy, run right, you Ferris wheel. You square through and go, you count them 3/4 round. Swing the corner, girl, and promenade. You just sing the song. And I hear so many guys, they get up there and they don't, so they go call hash. Like they might start off good. Heads promenade halfway, come down the middle and square through 4. And you touch a quarter. Now to scoot back and let's have the boys run. Why don't you just call pattern for two halves of a tip and go home? Because that's not singing, guys. And this is, Thomas Jefferson said, if you precede every one of your statements with the word, in my opinion, you can never be wrong. So, is that right? So I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, that a singing call is to be sung. And I just did a school here a couple of weeks ago, which I was one of them. And the first day, I got strangers look because I said, everybody bring your favorite song. Yes, we did. We're sitting around a big 8-foot table. And I said, who wants to go first? And one fellow raised his hand. I said, go ahead. He's willing to go ahead. I said, we'll sing the song. He said, well, where's the equipment? I said, what equipment? I said, I don't do the song. He just sing the song. What? I sing the bloody song. You know, you don't need equipment or anything. I said, do you need music to sing happy birthday? No, just sing your song. And you should be able to sing it well enough, a cappella, that you can make a dance. And then put the music on, then you really sound good. All right, but I'm telling you, use your timing charts, and it's what I call syllabalizing. And I looked it up, and it is a real word. You know, at least my computer thinks it is. Anyway, and if you take and you match the syllables of the syllables of the choreography to the syllables of the song or the melody, using John's thing he's talking about with a timing chart, so it matches with what Deborah's going to tell you in a little while. And what John's going to tell you in a minute, you will succeed, all right? But if you just call patter, that's all it's going to be, all right? I'm done,
John. Well, Wade's told you all he knows, and you probably still don't know nothing. Thank you, Wade. He's so right in doing that. And while he was doing that, and I've been thinking, the age of our dancer in the United States, and Bill, you guys probably have some similar problem in Canada as well. And over in Europe, you guys still have some younger dancers. and we just don't have them over here anymore. Wade wrote a figure, and I don't remember which singing call it was, but it was square through 4, do-si-do, swing through, spin the top, right and left through, and square through 3, and swing the corner and promenade. Do you recall which song was it? Okay, if you think of it. But I know he was the first one that I know of to come out with that particular module for a singing call. Well, every Tom, Dick, and Harry after that found out how good it worked, a 64-beat piece of music, so they overwrote it 400 million times. I have been keeping track for the last 15 years, and 85% of the singing calls that have come out have had head square through 4 as a starting figure. Every square through 4 and every one of them. We have worn that stupid call completely out as far as I'm concerned. But newer callers don't know how to change it because that's the way it's written. If you've noticed in American Square Dance magazine that every time this particular figure is written to a singing call, heads promenade half, square through 4, swing through, boys run, Ferris wheel, and square through 3, and swing the corner and promenade, they don't list the figure anymore. And Carbon Geist is the one that started this. It simply says standard Ferris wheel figure. That statement is copyrighted, or what? The figure is? Yeah, that'll be the day. But anyway, you can't believe the number. I think there were 4 or 5 in last month's American Square Dance magazine that had that same figure in it. Exact same figure. Deborah and I were given a whole bunch of CDs that a caller had put out, and I listened to them. I think there were 7, and 4 of them had that Ferris wheel figure in it. You know, we have trained callers to be stupid, in my opinion. We have not trained callers to be thinkers and to write their own figures or to do something to learn how to change them. That's what this session is about, is to learn how to adapt different things to different pieces of music. And it's so very easy to do if you'll spend the time to do it. If you don't know how to do it, go to an experienced caller and make them write you some different figures. Make them help you write some different figures. And you learn them to get something different in your repertoire, that you're not repeating the same thing over and over and over again. The figure that I was talking about, the module that Wade wrote on that particular singing call, I defy any caller to get our American dancers through it. Because they simply cannot. Our timing has got to change in that regard because they can't hack it. We got to leave out the do-si-do to make it work at all. Or we got to leave something out of it. It just won't work anymore. But you'd be surprised at the number of callers that are still writing, putting it with singing calls, and newer callers pick it up and say, well, this is the only thing I know because that's what's on the cue sheet. And I don't blame the newer callers. It's not their fault. It's our experienced callers' fault for not helping the newer callers learn better how to do that. Now, the paper that I have put together is really quite simple. As we have said, normal 64-beat singing call. I've recorded some that were 96, but it only goes through 4 times. And there are some that have other numbers to them. But the normal is a 64-beat singing call. The song that I use to test whether a figure is going to work or not, or to put something together with a different song, I use the tune Just Because. That's just because it's in my mind. And it's real easy for me to adapt figures to and singing calls to.
And you can sing it a cappella, like what Wade was talking about. You
don't
have to have the music because he knows the song that well.
And I think all callers should have a song in their mind that you can use, a 64-beat phrase that will fit anything that you want to work. And you work it, and you'll find out whether it's going to work or not. Now, the first example that I have here are the first 10 basics on the CALLERLAB list for the basic program. The numbers shown in parentheses out beside each line are the number of beats of music that it will take to execute the call, as the timing is very important. When I first learned to call, every figure and every singing call that we had the number of beats out beside it that it took to execute the call. And all at once we decided that wasn't important, so we dropped it. Newer callers don't know that. And we need to teach them, and we need to train them how to do that. Now, if you just look at the figure that I have written, that was a creek out where I was raised called Croton, and that just word happened to jump in my brain for some reason. And the opener and break and closer, we simply start out in circle left, and the command is given on the last two upbeats of the intro, so the dancers can start on the first downbeat of the measure. Then sing the song for the first 16 beats. And if you notice, I've said for newer or super senior dancers, the caller may need to talk for an additional 4 beats to get the dancers back to their home position where he wants them. It's supposed to take 16 beats of music to circle all the way around, but our seniors don't get all the way around. They only get 3/4 of the way around. Now, if we've got singing calls, and Wade came out with this with a half promenade in singing calls. He may have been one of the first ones to ever record a record that had only a half promenade from the opposite position back to home, and that normally takes 8 beats. Well, we were trained when we learned to dance that you swing your partner for 8 beats, and if you got back home before the phrase ended in the music, then you swung your partner again, whether the caller said to or not. We took up the music with dancing. Now, our seniors, if they've only gone 3/4 of the way around and the figure is written for a half promenade, guess what? They meet their partner in the corner slot and they've only got 1/4 to promenade. And they get home way before the end of the phrase of the music, and they stand there, well, they're waiting for that dummy up there at the microphone to get done so we can go ahead and start some kind of a dance. So you got to be able to adapt your singing calls for the type of people that you're calling to. Now, if you're calling to a group of teenagers, then speed it up and add 2 or 3 more figures onto it if you can, because they can probably keep up with you. It was Deborah and I did a festival a couple of weeks ago, and there were 5 squares of teenagers there. And the rest of them were super seniors. Now, you think we didn't have a heck of a time trying to find a balance between those two? It really turned into work. But then I've got a very simple figure for the opener, the figure itself, and the 4 men make a left-hand star, go full around, and that takes 8 beats, and turn your partner by the right arm, and that takes 6. Alley man left on the corner, take 8 beats to do that, and come back and swing your partner for 6 beats, and then promenade all the way around, and that takes 16, and you've gotten 64 beats of the music used up. But if we don't train newer callers how to do that, they never learn. So it's our responsibility as experienced callers to do that. Could I get the square up, please? We've got a square of professional dancers that are going to demonstrate for us that I've asked to dance. All right, give a hand to our dancers because they volunteered.
Yo, baby. Woo-hoo.
All right, we're going to see if this is going to work now. It's much more difficult on carpet, I know, than it is anywhere else. Okay, everybody ready? Here's the music. The music is going. Boom, 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 circle left. Just because you think you're so pretty, just because you think you're so hot, and we should already be back home. But did you notice how far they had gotten? Almost 3/4 of the way around. Let's try it one more time. Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, circle left. Go. Just because you think you're so pretty. Just because you think you're so hot. 2, 3, 4. Whoa. They were just almost there. Now, did I train them? I gave them a little bit of training. I said, you didn't get all the way around on that circle left. So they should have gone just a little bit faster, and they got there or took a little shorter steps or cut the corners just a little bit, and they got back there in time. Now, on a good wood dance floor, they can do that a whole lot better. All right, here, now we go in. 4 men make a left-hand star. You go full around that ring. Find your partner, turn by the right arm around, and then you alley man left on the corner of the hall. Come back, and you now swing your lady around, and then you promenade that ring. You win and you spend all my money because, oh, just because. And see, that timing pretty good, huh? Even on the carpet here, it worked out pretty good. Now, if you're working with brand new people, or you're doing a square dance party, and I stole this from Deborah. She did it one night when we were doing a square dance party, and I said, man, I like the heck out of that. And so you can put this to a singing call. Everybody ready? We're going to use the same tune. Number one couple, promenade to go all the way around. And the other three couples... Whoa. What's your number? What's your number, Sweden? Huh? He's from Sweden. You have to overlook it. All right. He came to my collar school back in 1988 over in Germany. You know, I guess I didn't train him good enough. Yeah. Your number is 1, 2, 3. Number one couple, promenade, you go all the way around. And the other three couples make a right-hand star and you turn it around at town. You turn it, go all the way around the ring you go. Turn corner by the left hand around. Come back home, you know, I say I'm trying to read and look at the same time. Come back home and do-side-do, go once around and then corner swing that lady round and now promenade. Well, I'm telling you, honey, I'm through with you because, oh, just because. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. And you could use that at a dance and shock the heck out of your people. They're not used to it. Number three, as Deborah says, number three going to take off like a bull out of a shoe because that's what every other caller calls. You know, dare to be different. All right, half sashay the girls, or half sashay and go back to your home position. All right. Now, here's another one that I put together that's on the sheet. We say, man, we got to do bow to your partner and you corner by the two and circle left, go around, you do. Well, no, we don't. Change it. Everybody face your partner. You pass through and then face out and join hands. Circle to the right, sunny side out. You circle to the right. You go walking around the land. Face your partner, pass through, and you go left alley man. You weave around that ring until you meet your own. Promenade your lady all the way around you roam. Well, I'm telling you, honey, I'm through with you because, oh, just because. That did pretty good, huh? Give the dancers a hand. They're looking gooder. They're getting gooder out there on the floor. Hello?
Observation. Oh, wait, on the microphone.
Wait, got to get on the microphone. Hand it cordless.
Phil,
What's your name? Say your name and then
Phil
talk.
Roy from York, Pennsylvania. Right. Observation. We're up here dancing tight on purpose, and that affects our timing tremendously. I work that with my dancers all the time because they spread out, and there's no way they can do the timing right.
Exactly. The only time I want my dancers to spread out if I'm doing the Texas Star, and I say spread the star way out wide. That's the only time they get out wide. The rest of the time they got to stay in close. You train them. If you train them right, they'll be able to do it. I guarantee you. It's our fault. It's our responsibility. I'm going to change. Let's let the sides dance a moment. Side swing your partner, go around and around you go. Dance forward up to the middle. And to come on back, you know. Now, how many people give 8 beats to do a forward and back anymore? Very few callers. They say forward and back and right and left through. You know, they don't even get forward till they already call it. Barry mentioned that in the session this morning. He checked the dancers to see how well they could dance a forward and back, if they took a proper number of beats to do a forward and back, or if they just kind of leaned and hit at each other. Make a left-hand star in the center, and you turn it full around. Find your corners all, and you do-side-do on down. Go all the way around, same lady swing and whirl. You take her by the hand and you promenade to go walking around the world. Well, I'm telling you, honey, I'm through with you because, oh, just because. And we got close. Hey, that's just some of the simple things that you can do to change your program around and to change your singing calls, especially if they're newer dancers or if it's a party that you're doing. Very, very easy to do. No, it takes experience to be able to do these kinds of things and to be able to adapt and change at will and to adjust to whatever group that you're calling to. But it can be done. Okay. How about a nice hand for our square game? Thank you very much. Now, keep that in mind, please, as you're working with your dancers, and think of something besides starting out every stinking call with square through 4. Deborah and I did a festival, and I'm not going to say where it was. But there were 4 area callers on the program with us. It started Friday night and it finished Sunday morning. And they had a mainstream hall, a plus hall, and an advanced hall. The other 4 callers that were on the program, very good area callers. All 4 of them started every singing call figure and every patter routine with square through 4. Every single one on every tip. I never heard square through 4 so much in all my life. Keep that in mind, gang, and let's start, change it a little bit. Put some variety in your calling. There ain't nothing wrong with square through 4. I love it. Although it is the very worst kinesiology movement that we've ever come up with. Kinesiology is the movement of the body. It makes us go in the wrong direction, opposite direction from which we want to go. I use square through 4. I've got a CD recorded that I guarantee you it's used on there several times. But we've overused it. So keep that in mind. Help me with it, okay? Now, I'm going to shut up and let Deborah talk. Thank you.
Thank you. The handout that I gave you, Wade told me that I had written a tome. I just like to be thorough, that's all. When we got the topic of adapting singing calls, I guess there's a lot of different ways you could interpret what this topic is supposed to be about. It could be changing the words of a singing call. Some songs are maybe written from the man's point of view, and for a woman to be able to sing it, you have to change the words. Well, when I looked at singing call adaptation, to me it meant changing the figures. And I've really gone through a kind of a point-by-point way of helping you if you don't change figures in your singing calls, or you've never written your own. Most singing call figures should be able to be taken out of one singing call and plugged into another without too many speed bumps. They really should interchange. So if you haven't done that, or you've never written your own figure, if you look at the singing calls that you have and look at those figures, see if you can take one from one song and plug it into another. And at first it might be a little difficult, especially if you've really memorized the singing call completely intertangled and intertwined with that particular module. If it's all just the song to you, if the figure is not separate in your mind, it's going to be difficult to unplug and replug. Try that to begin with. As you get a little bit more experience and you want to start creating your own singing call figures, well, the first thing you have to do is decide, let's see, do I want the dancers to swing the right-hand lady and start with a right-hand lady progression, or do I want them to swing the corner? How many of you have ever danced a right-hand lady progression? Excellent. All right. We don't seem to call it as much as we used to, and it really feels different for the dancers to do it that way. Now, the reason that you must decide on one or the other and stick with it all the way through the singing call, and I can tell you this from experience, is because if you change them and you've started rotating to the left for them to swing the right-hand lady, and you have them swing corner, they go back to the right. And I found how important that was when I recorded a singing call for Ernie Kinney on hi-hat, and I drove 5 hours north to the sound studio, and I laid down my vocal, and I went home, and Ernie called me about, 24 hours later and said, "Deborah, honey, do you know what you did?" "No." And he said, "You used a right-hand lady progression singing call figure and then a corner one." And a light bulb. Birds were tweeting, stars were exploding over my head. It was the first time I really realized how important it was not to mix the two. So I had to drive 5 hours north again and recut that singing call. Oh, I was really upset with myself. So you do have to make that decision. And then you have to decide what call or concept you're going to highlight. You notice that John did that number one couple promenade all the way around and the others make the star. You can do that number one couple, then number two, maybe you're working on stars for that particular singing call. That's a neat way, very simple little dance to do. They get a chance to do stars. But you have to pick something, a call or a concept that you're going to highlight. Okay, so you've made your decision. You will also need to get your grimy little mitts on a timing chart. And those, we all used to have them, and the singing call figures that came out with the cheat sheet in there had either lines next to them indicating the number of beats, or it said it in parentheses how many beats it took to complete that particular call. I am. But the producers got tired of doing our work for us, so they stopped putting that on the singing call, so now it's our responsibility to figure that out. Maybe many of you just automatically know this, but if you're a newer caller, do you really and truly know how many beats it's supposed to take for the heads to square through? It's supposed to take 10, because the heads are at a dead stop. They have to get into motion. Do you know how many beats it takes to do a scoop back, etc.? If you don't know, and I'm not saying I have them all memorized, go on CALLERLAB.org. You can find the timing chart there, because you want to make sure that your figure times out to approximately 64 beats. You don't want to have 80, and you don't want to have 20. You have to have somewhere close to that 60 beats. John mentioned swinging the corner in the corner quadrant, and it's important that you notice at the end of the figure that you have created where they are for the swing. Because if your gentleman, and I'm presuming that most of you probably track the guy, the number one man, if he's swinging his corner in that slot, in that corner quadrant, he's so close to home, forget it. And what happens? You've seen this happen. Somebody, God love him, has been properly trained to promenade all the way around if that happens, but then you'll have somebody else who had a big dinner and really doesn't feel like going that far, and they put on the brakes and everybody runs into the back of them. Okay? So it just works out nicer if you have them swing in a quadrant to where you know how far around they have to promenade. All right? That's also important. You want to check your hand availability and body flow of your figure. What's wrong with calling head square through 4 and left swing through? What's the last hand of the square through? The left hand. They've just put it back here to pull by. That hand is not available for the next call. And a newer caller is going to think, hey, that's kind of different. I could do left swing through. That's better than swing through. But if the hand isn't available, no. So you have to check that, and you also have to check the smoothness and make sure that you have that nice flowing motion going on. And then I had never thought about singing it a cappella. That's what I do, but I never thought about it until Happy Birthday to You came out in the handout. And the song that I use is Rocky Top. It's one of the very first singing calls I ever learned. So if I'm going to check a figure, I sing it out loud to Rocky Top. When John and I are driving down the highway and we're on a road trip or something, we have a tendency to our minds wander, and usually his is wandering around choreography. And so he'll say, okay, check this. And he'll recite a figure that he's been working in his mind for the last 15 minutes as we've been driving down the road. And he'll sing it to Just Because. Okay. I said, just a minute. And then I have to sing it back to him to Rocky Top. That's how I have to check that it fits. All right, that's my little song that I have to do it to. So do it to your favorite singing call, the one that you can sing without putting it on the turntable. And lastly, after you've written all this and you've gone through all of this, you've checked the flow, you've checked the hand availability, you've got the timing chart, record what you have written and dance it. That's what you're asking the people to do. And that's the best way for you to check that you have actually accomplished all those little goals. Now, I gave you an example on page 2. I picked the call Split Circulate. Mostly I picked that because there really aren't a whole heck of a lot of singing call figures that incorporate very many split circulates. So I decided to just go ahead and create one of my own. And I wanted to get to a corner phaser. Now, you don't have to necessarily start with corner. You do know that. We don't always have to do square through, and we don't always have to start with that corner. We can start with the right-hand lady and then run over to corner a little bit later on in the figure. But traditionally, we start with corner. So that's what I did. So here you have a get-in, which is, you all probably know, which was heads, touch a quarter, and the head boy run. Why do you think I said head boy run? Yeah, because I have some nasty little side boys out there that would run also. All right, so I just have to make sure that I'm technically very clear as to who I want to run. You can also say that boy run if you want to. Now I'm in my corner spot. And my next call was touch a quarter, split circulate, boys run. That all sounds very smooth, fairly smooth right now. Okay, that's all working all right. Pass the ocean, swing through, boys run, half tag, balance, split circulate, swing. You're swinging corner and promenade. Now let me see if it's going to work to my Rocky Top. Heads touch a quarter, head boy run, and then touch a quarter, split circulate. Boys run, you pass the ocean now and then swing through. Boys run right, do a half tag, balance, split circulate, swing the corner. You take her by the hand and all will promenade. Do you see how I have to work that into Rocky Top or whatever song you might like? Now, according to the timing chart, I've got a bullseye. 64 beats, by golly, I'm right on. What if my dancers are a little slow that night, or the hall floor happens to be sticky, or it's very hot, or I've got, gee, why not dream big? I've got 25 squares in a hall that'll hold 100, and they've spread out. What might happen to that timing? It'll be off, won't it? And I see callers that get up and they've got their figure done and they don't know how to adapt it to that particular situation. Any ideas what maybe I could do? Take out the balance, absolutely. And that would smooth that out, okay? Going on to page 3. I've got enhancing the figure. This is a little bit digging a little bit deeper into adaptation. I had a caller tell me not too long ago, I was saying, I feel like I'm kind of stale with my choreography, you know, and he said, Deborah, just think of all the stuff that you call. Okay. Now, what if you did it left-handed? He said, your choreography has just doubled. I had never thought about it like that, Scooby-Doo noise. And I thought, oh, that's right. I can do a whole lot of things left-handed, but I don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. So I just wrote the beginning of that last singing call figure with a heads touch a quarter and head boy run. Look how I started this one. Heads left touch a quarter and the head girls run. And where am I? Right back at corner in a good old 0 box. Little bit different way to get in there. Then I did a left touch a quarter. And I put the balance there. Any ideas as to why I put it there? Yeah, I make sure that they've got the left. I want them to anchor themselves a little bit. I'm giving them that extra little beat of time to make sure that they're where they want to be. Split circulate. It's still the same call, but it's sure going to feel different when they're doing it from a left-handed box. Then I have girls run left to a Dixie style to a wave. That's beautiful flow. Boys trade. They're coming right into the middle. There's that nice figure 8. Left cast off 3/4. The girls fold. The boys pass through. Corner swing. It's not rocket science as far as, gee, I landed on the moon, but it's a little bit different. And I didn't necessarily have to start from scratch to write the figure. I had the right-handed figure, and with some adjustment, I could change it over to a left-handed figure, just to give a little bit of variety. On the chart, it comes out to 66 beats. So if I'm running into trouble, I might, or if they're getting through it really quickly, you can make your get-in, your beginning to the 0 box longer. You can use more beats. Have the heads promenade half, come in and star through and pass through, and so you're using up more beats of music. Or you can make it shorter too. I also gave you on this paper a right-hand lady progression for a singing call figure that has you swinging the right hand. Remember, don't mix the two. If you choose one, stay with it so you're not unpleasantly surprised, or so your dancers don't go, how come I never got to swing that other person? I keep getting my right-hand person and my partner back. So here's a right-hand lady progression that the heads star through and pass through. You know where they are when they do that? Looking right at, across the street there, looking right at their right-hand lady. Quick and easy way to get there. Right and left through, touch a quarter, split circulate, boys run, past the ocean. Does any of this sound a little familiar? Very much like the first figure, right? Like I said, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And also that means you don't have to memorize 350,000 new figures. It can be 150,000. All right? If you've written it, why not stay with that and have little variations if you've gone to that much work? Swing through, the boys run, half tag, split circulate, swing the right-hand lady, and promenade. Okay, I'd use the same basic chunk. I just took them to the right-hand lady first and used it over there. It does feel very different to the dancers if they do that. All right, taking a look at page 4 of my tome. No, I'm not. Huh. All right, now here's one that's a little bit different, and it is a little bit long. It comes out to 68 beats, but I thought it was kind of cool, so I just decided I would kind of tuck that in there. And a different beginning. All 4 couples promenade halfway. That kind of has them pick up their ears a little bit. That's a little bit different. The heads left touch a quarter. The head girl run left. Do a left touch a quarter. Again, we're into that lefty stuff. Split circulate. Girls run left to a Dixie style to an ocean wave. Now, I put an all 8 circulate in there. Warning to newer callers, that figure may lend you to a little bit of scrambling out there with the dancers if they're not used to doing an all 8 circulate from a left-handed wave with the boys in the middle. They may not be real confident with that, so you might have to work that a little bit in your patter first. Now, where that takes me is to my right-hand lady. You see I wrote in there which sets up my right-hand lady phaser. Left hinge, split circulate, girls run left, girls fold, and swing the right-hand lady. She didn't go anywhere. She ran and folded right into the man. He swings her, and around they go for a full 16-beat promenade. So, sure. Do you want to dance it? Oh, okay. Can we get the square up? Would you like to pop up? It's getting kind of warm in here. Is it just me? Is it a little warm? It's just me. Okay, fine. All right. All righty, let's see if I can do it to Rocky Top here. All 4 couples promenade halfway around old Rocky Top. Head couples left, touch 1 quarter. Head girl run left, left touch a quarter. Split circulate. Girls run left to a Dixie style to a wave. Get over there, Wade. Boys are in the middle. There we are. All 8 circulate. Yes. Do a left hinge. Split circulate. Girls run, and the girls fold, and I'm talking, and you swinger. You have right-hand lady? No. Yes, you do. No, you have opposite. They have partner, and you have opposite. Did I leave something out? Uh-oh. Get back home and let me do this again. You betcha. Ooh, all right here. Once more. Okay. All four couples promenade halfway around a rocky top. 1 and 3 left touch a quarter. Head girls run left. We're at a 0 box. Left touch 1/4. Split circulate. Girls run left to a Dixie style. All 8 circulate. Okay, now who have we got? I'm stopping to watch here. Everybody should have right-hand lady. All right? Okay. All right. Do a left hinge. Split circulate. Here's where that's where I did it. All right. The girls run left. Girls walk across and swing him. There we go. Okay, so where I put girls fold, everybody, on that paper? Right, girls walk across. Okay? Yeah, right. That makes it a smoother swing. You're absolutely right. Thank you. He said that it makes it smoother. I'm sorry, I forgot he needed to be on the microphone. It makes it smoother for the girl to walk across for the swing, because when she folds, then you have to readjust back for the swing. The one on the previous page? Oh, please don't tell me I did. Okay, all right. The first one or the second one? The second one. All right. Okay. Head star through, pass through, right and left through the outside too, and then touch a quarter, split circulate, boys run, past the ocean, swing through. Boys run, half tag, split circulate, swing that right hand girl in your promenade. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. Did you have it? Oh, okay. All right. Could everybody just ski-doodle home? Thank you. That's a new call, ski-doodle home. All right. Heads left, touch a quarter. Head girl run left. Left, touch a quarter. Balance. Split, circulate. And the girls run left to a Dixie style mega wave. Boys trade. Left cast off 3/4. Girls fold, boys pass through, swing the corner promenade. Yeah. All right. Corner. No. Wait, there's somebody. If you wouldn't, you have to turn that one on. Mm-hmm.
Two things that occur to me while I'm up here dancing.
Okay.
One is after we do the girls run left right up on the get in.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's sliding left, and for me to come back to a left touch quarter is a little odd. I'm walking into it. Feels better with I want to do a right hand touch quarter.
All right. If that's the case, then because this stuff is not cast in stone. So as a committee, let's work on this and see if we can smooth it out even more. All right. So the original get in, ski-doodle home. The original get in was heads left touch a quarter and the head girls run left and then left touch a quarter. All right. Phil said that just felt a little bit rough. He wanted to use that right hand really bad. So let's do it that way and then we'll do it. Then we'll change it. Okay. So heads do a left touch a quarter. Head girl run left, left touch a quarter. It is a little bit of an adjustment. I'm watching the number 3 boy over here. Okay. Skidoodle on home for just a moment. Now let's change it to this instead. Heads touch a quarter. Head boy run. Left touch a quarter. Now that's still a little bit of an adjustment. So you would rather do a touch a quarter from there. That felt better? That felt better. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Very good. So you guys can make a little star on that one up there and perhaps change that to smooth it out a little bit better for you with the touch a quarter, head boy run, and then left touch a quarter. So we just changed the little bitty get in just to make it even nicer and even smoother.
Square you set. What we forget so often, and that's the reason Deborah thinks like she does, because she's a lady, and she dances the ladies' part. And the complaint was from a man, okay, in the square. I'm not picking on it, but the complaint was from a man, and I guarantee you that the girls didn't have any problem with it at all, because it was just as natural for them as it could possibly. Now, the left touch a quarter was awkward for you at that point, and I see that. That's very, very obvious. So let's go back to a touch a quarter, but everybody watch what the girls do. Ready? Heads touch a quarter, and the boy run, and the girls touch a quarter. She's got to stop and reverse back and go back to a right hand touch a quarter. I meant everybody touch a quarter. Square set, square. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Heads touch a quarter, and the boy run, touch a quarter. The girl had to stop, put the brakes on, and go back to a right-hand touch. Okay? Square your set. Watch what the girls have to do this time. Ready? Heads touch a quarter, and that boy run right to a left touch a quarter, and girls, how did that feel? Just lovely, because it flowed right in. We never look at the girl's position. You got to dance both sides and got to learn both sides of the situation before you make comments or changes to whatever you might have to be, because we have beat the girls to death with walk and dodge and partner trade till it's unmerciful, because this feels good for the man. We've forgotten about the lady. Bill's got a comment. Wade, would you get? All right, got to have the microphone. Bill, would you run the microphone?
Just a moment. I want to just point out, Bill Trelevin, Saskatchewan, Canada. The girls want to dance so bad. Thank God they put up with a lot of stuff we lay on them.
Exactly.
Star through, flutter wheel.
Right.
And the guys do most 90% of the choreography, and they put up with it, and that's all.
You're right.
Mike Oliveri, Denver. Deborah, towards the end of that pattern where the girls fold, boys pass through, I noticed some hesitation on the guys' part, right shoulders, left shoulders. They were coming out of the cast three quarters. If we could maybe walk through that and just look at that, because there was some dodging going on in there real quick.
All right. Square set. Square thy set. Which figure is that? The top one again? Oh, okay. Is everybody squared? All right, we're going to do it like she has it written. Heads left touch a quarter. Head girl run left. Left touch a quarter. Balance. Now, I notice that everybody doesn't know how to do a balance. A balance is not stand on one foot and kick the other one in the air. A balance is a step, touch, back touch. The feet should never leave the floor. Ready, balance. Step, touch, back touch. Oh, that looks so good. I can see it out of the corner of my eye, and everybody did it really nice. That's another way I check the floor, Barry, so you find out if they can do a balance or know how to do a balance. All right, split circulate. The girl run left to a Dixie style to an ocean wave, and the boy trade, and the left cast off 3/4 round, and the girl fold, and the boys, I see, I can see, okay, that's okay. And the boys pass through. They should adjust to the right hand there on that particular point. You could have, you could probably get by with saying boys left pass through, or maybe. Depends on how fast you are or what singing call you're using it with.
To me, when it was a left cast, they were coming in for a more of a figure 8 for that pass through. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there was a question or comment from Norm.
Who's got the running mic?
Norm Wilcox, Georgetown, Ontario, Canada. You mentioned about encountering problems with a singing call figure, and you're calling it, and you're already into your singing call figure. They've messed up a little bit. Now we're running over the edge. Do you recommend having in your toolbox some short singing call figures that you can then use to catch up?
Absolutely. Good comment, Norm. And we all should have that. If the figure runs over, like Deborah said, that last one, or the one before that comes out to about 66, maybe it comes out to 68. and the dancers are not back home yet. You better leave something off the first figure, the next figure coming up, and cut it short and change it. You have to be able to adapt it really, really quick.
Or if they've run out of time and they're not home, have the heads or the sides promenade half. And that they're already in motion and they can flow into that a little easier. Do you understand what I mean by that? That if the figure went on too long and they've swung in promenade and they're still at least a quarter out, if you ask if the next figure starts with the sides or heads promenade half, they can walk into it easier and get them quickly back to their corner or right-hand lady.
Does he square up again? The last record that Flippo recorded, he did it for Royal Records. It was on the platinum thing that came out. Talking about adapting singing calls and changing figures. Watch this to my song. Ready? Heads wrong way promenade, and you go halfway around. Now the sides lead right, and you circle to a line. See how that flows? Really neat. Up to the middle and come on back in time. You pass through and bend the line. I've got a 0 line. Touch a quarter now, circulate, boy, run. And you be right in front of the corner, and you can swing your corner and promenade. Neat figure that he put together on that singing call. And that's the kind of thing that we need to look for and do. Years ago, we used to do that all the time. Dancers, you may sit down. You've been up for a long time. Nice hand for the dancers. Thank you very much. And we'll try not to make you get up again. But years ago, when we wrote singing call figures, we wrote them to fit the music, and we spent a lot of time choreographing them to fit the music. And then it was kind of unorthodox to change that figure. But it was also very unorthodox for another caller to copy your figure and put it on another singing call. It was just a kind of an understood thing that we didn't do that. But it's gotten to where now that so many figures are just copied over and over and over again. Start thinking for yourself and pass the word. Callers, start thinking. And maybe we can build it back up again. Who's got the mic?
Randy Doherty, Mesa, Arizona, and Far, Texas. I got to come to Jerry Story's defense about the Ferris wheel copyrighted figure. We use that every time we go into the studio because the band knows exactly where they're at when we tell them, okay, on the Ferris wheel, I want the saxophone to do the lead and I want the fiddle to do the fills. Those 6 or 7 band members that we use at Royal Records, they sing that figure while they're playing. They know it so well, but they don't have any clue how to do the calls, of course, but they know where they're at when we tell them, okay, when we come down the middle and we square through 4, they know exactly where they're at and their piece of music that we're using. So that's why a lot of the songs do come out with that Ferris wheel, square through 3, swing corner, promenade thing. I called a dance here. The other comment I had was really a question, more or less. I had a dance here in Houston, called for a group, and they didn't really swing their girl. They just did a twirl, and then they promenaded. And it really kind of screwed me up. I wasn't ready for that. But another situation I had was over in Sun City, west of the Phoenix area. And I don't know if the caller trained them that way or whatever, but they didn't swing at all or twirl at all. All they did was when they got to that square through 3, the boy just kind of like backed his rig into reverse gear, and they took off and promenaded. And there was no twirling, no swing or anything. Of course, a lot of them were in wheelchairs and walkers. But the thing about it was this caller let them do that, and their promenade, a lot of times they short promenaded, didn't do the 16 beat. And he kept calling, and by the time he got done with the intro, the middle break, and the closer, and the 4 figures, he still had, about a ½ inch of groove left on the records. And so all he would do is lift the needle. How do we, as instructors or coaches or whatever, get people to promenade so that they don't end up just standing looking at you for 16 beats?
Give them a prize.
Give them a prize.
Yeah, give them a lollipop.
I gave them a speech, and of course I didn't get welcome back for a long time. No, it didn't work. Do you have any other suggestions, though?
if it were Ray Smith, who was 6'6" and had a booming voice, and he's dead and gone now, but he'd say, "I said promenade, and that's what I meant." All of us can't get by with that. There are a few callers that might be able to get by with it, but, you know, say, "I would like for you to promenade all the way around because I'm not done singing yet." You know, I try to encourage them some way, Randy, to get them to do it. If they refuse to do it, then I don't know what the answer would be. I don't have an answer. Do you guys?
I have a suggestion. Eliminate the things that they don't want to do.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I know what Randy's talking about on that, because they do it at home. They, not in my group, but in some of the clubs, they do a. Hello, that's all right. They do a star through promenade. That just is really just annoying as all get out. Okay. Now I tell you what I've started doing. Something that we used to do all the time, and now we stopped because I guess we're slowing down or whatever. But they did a song called "All Wrapped Up in You," and the figure ended up with a slide through, swing the corner, Alaman left, new corner, promenade. I started shortening the choreography on the front half, putting that on the back half, and that star through promenade just flat don't work. And that goes back to, I will not tell you how to dance, you do not tell me how to call. And now, the first time I do it, but at the time you get the fourth time, they get the message for the most, but sometimes they don't ever. You know, I was in Myrtle Beach, and I did the Grand Square the first time, and I swear there was a guy on there that could do it in 6 beats. He was about 6'9", and go 1, 2, 3, 4. What I do now? And so the middle break, I thought I'll get cute. So halfway through the Grand Square, I said circle left. I dropped 200 squares. So I thought they got the message now. So the closer, I did halfway through Grand Square, said circle left. I dropped 200 squares. And when it was over, a guy come to me and says, "You called Grand Square wrong twice." Sometimes you just can't change them. You just got to let them do what they want to do, you know.
Norm Wilcox, Georgetown, Ontario, Canada. One of the things that we're running into, I think, is the age of our dancers. A lot of them are getting to the point now where if we have lots of swings and lots of promenades, they're plumb running out of energy. And you've got, as they get older, they're more liable for physical disabilities, limps and so on. They just plumb don't swing at all. And if they can get out of promenading, they will. And to the point where they'll even back up promenade just to save the energy.
What I meant to say a while ago, and I didn't, and thank you for jarring my old memory. Sometimes I've gotten where I won't do a swing. For example, one of the get-outs on the sing called "Be Swing Through Boys Trade, Swing and Promenade." Well, I found I just swing through boys trade, girls do a U-turn back, and couples circulate and promenade. I just take it out of there entirely. You know, it's like Jerry said, if they're not going to do it, just don't call it. I'll call something else.
All right. Do we have someone in the back, very back there had a question. Whoever's got the microphone.
Guy Steele, Lexington, Massachusetts. I found that in order to make timing work, I've really got to know the dancers, if at all possible. I call for a group that the Boston Uncommons, which, at least for the first half of a dance, are really high energy. And if I call a figure that ends with something like an 8-chain 3, Alaman left, I find they whip through that 8-chain 3. They're hanging there for 2 beats before I call the Alaman left. And I've got to correct for that on, the next time through the figure. On the other hand, they've got this flourish for Weave the Ring, which by the timing charts ought to be about 10 beats. They take a full 16 beats to do that Weave the Ring. And I've got to compensate for that.
Butch Adams from Alexandria, Virginia. I have the occasion at times being in the Washington, D.C. area to at times call a dance where I have a lot of advanced and challenge dancers who are coming out mixed with the dancers that I'm calling to that are perhaps just mainstream. And they don't want to do swings. They don't want to do an Alaman left. All they want to do is touch hands and walk around. So I just tell them to do a star through California twirl, roll the face, and swing. And by that time, a couple of times of doing that, they get the idea that they're going to do a swing, or I'm going to have them walking around in circles.
All right, Tom, you had a question.
Tom Selner from Maryland. in your adoption of your singing calls, you're going to find some pieces of music where the word meeting in the song doesn't meet real good with the calls you're going to use, like if you have longer calls or short calls. So sometimes the choreography that works to one singing call, it just doesn't sound good to the other one, and you're going to have to change the choreography slightly to make it, because I helped a caller who had an unusual song, and he was trying to fit his choreography to it, and he couldn't. So I had to change his word metering and the calls in order for the thing to sound good in the end. So you have to be very careful. You just can't say, okay, it fit this song, now I can move it anywhere. It doesn't always work because you get caught. A lot of times that word meeting will kill you.
All right. Anybody else got a question or comment? Up here, Don Beck's got one. Bill, please.
Don Beck, Massachusetts. Randy, when you get upset with them not promenading and lecture to them, I tend to do that in a mini lecture sometimes, and it's usually good for a tip or two. But when people don't, I just say, it's okay to promenade when I call it. Really it is. And a touch of sarcasm almost gets a humorous thing. And as they say, it's good for a tip or two anyway. And they seem to come back after that. Don't get them quite as mad as a lecture.
And also the quadrant swing for the promenade makes a difference. If you have them swing to where they're in the opposite position, well, are they going to back up or are they going to go forward? Because either way, they have to walk. So
I have to tell a Flippo story, then I'll pass this on, because it gets it all in a nutshell. We did a coffee clatch thing at a festival we did. First time we did Pine Bluff, it was years ago, and there were 9 of the best callers anywhere in the world there. So we had a caller's coffee. And we said, it's a Q&A. You bring a question, one of us will have the answer. And so we went through, and it was Jerry Story and Oxidine and Letson and Flippo and Haig and Bauer and Scott Smith and Shoemaker and myself. And one guy would not get off. He said, I go through caller schools, you tell me to program a dance. You say we do this, you say do this. So I keep trying to call, and I can't get him to dance my dance. And he just went on and on, wouldn't let it go. And finally just Flip says, why don't you just call theirs?
Could I make it's on? Doesn't sound like it's on, but it's on. Okay. I think
what's your name?
My name is Sherry Helt, Cincinnati, Ohio. I think we're talking about 2 different groups here. When you're talking about road dancing and road calling, that's a completely different ball game than a home club dance. Completely different. I think you have your home club that are maybe used to you and dance maybe a little better at home, but you go on the road, you got a completely different ball game. They're completely different. And you have to adapt.
And you have to be able to be flexible with it and adapt to each individual group that you call to, and enjoy it as much as you can and be as kind to them as you can. Adapt your singing calls as much as you have to accommodate the floor that you're calling to, and then just make everybody have a good time. My expression has always been that square dancing is an expression of joy, and it should be all the time. Thank you, panelists, for helping with this session. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy the rest of the convention. Thank you.